Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is DrBrilmann. You're probably pretty much aware of that. And welcome to the new edition, rendition, episode, however you really want to call it, of the Champions Queue EUEdtion, where we take a look at the champions and we say sometimes clever, sometimes strange stuff about them. I am, as always, joined here by Zanzarah, but today we do have a special guest, One Ring Wraith, the host of the Portuguese broadcast. Hello there.
Hello.
Yo.
How are you?
I am doing great. I hope you are doing great too, guys, because we do have a lot of stuff to cover today. It's gonna be hard to have a look at pretty much everything that it is out there, but I feel like with the first 2 weeks that kicked off in the EUELs, some things did change. Some things changed in an expected way, and some things changed in a very unexpected way. So I really want to try to pinpoint what we actually are seeing right now, and what is new and what is basically the same old that are still having. So kind of starting with the whole gig. So the first 2 weeks kicked off, right? And now we're looking at meta tweaks. We're seeing new champions getting picked up. We're seeing a little bit of new play styles around there too. And that influences, of course, the champions that you are picking. Of course, another thing is, I think in Ultraliga at the very least, the first week was presented at the patch 12.9, and the second and third week is going to be in patch 12.10 with the durability patch. I don't know if that works for every aerial league.
Oh, no.
Same. I mean, same for French league, for example.
No, we actually started right off with 12.10.
Ooh, so you have some, you had some more cool stuff on the first week rather than the second one.
Yeah, but we only started last week, so we're actually going into our second week.
Aha. Well, that kind of puts everyone in the same position in a certain way. But with that being said, let's, as we always do, let's go individually through every single lane, because I think that right now we're looking, if we're starting off with the top lane, then I feel like we're looking at the lane that got the most drastic of changes, because for some reason I start to feel that like top lane is no longer the isolated in a certain way lane, because we see much more carry picks than we used to see before.
Yeah, I mean, I would not talk it's not like isolated as before, because for example, I saw like picks like Kale, you know, but you can't really, like, even if you want, you can't really do much on top side. So I mean, at least like for LFL, I think, I mean, there is still, of course, like Ornn and like Sign and this kind of stuff, but yeah, we see like more Kale, this kind of a champion, just like a counter pick scales was like good at attacks after like a certain items. So yeah, but I mean, I don't think like changes much. I think like people just like tasting still, you know. There is still like GP Gwen, right? God tier with like Permaband or something. So yeah, I mean, just like overall, not much changes for now. But I think we just need to wait like more. It just like didn't pass like enough time, like competitive, for people to like completely change the playstyle.
Yeah, as for the Portuguese league, Gwen and GP have been really contested so far, because they are both champions that scale insanely well and have extremely safe laning phase versus most champions. And they can also be versatile, so they can either split push or either team fight. We have seen some champions to deal with them, like Olaf and Kale, as you mentioned. But we've also been seeing Ornn and Gnar as blind picks that teams feel like being the safer option, especially those teams who play for bot side. Fiora and Camille have been banned most of the time, so I'm really not sure how our teams will handle picks like those in the current meta. But as you said, and as I said before, we've only seen 2 days, so 8 matches in total. Not really that much to see and to analyze.
This is actually something that happens in Ultraliga as well, but in a little bit of a different way. So when it comes to top lane, we have players who do have a little bit of pocket picks, right? So for example, we see Urgot sometimes making his appearance back, which is a little bit odd, but like whatever suits you, you do you, and have fun. We also sometimes see some supports still being played, and this is going to be another topic of discussion that when we're going to go to mid lane, I really want to try to get to the bottom of the double supports now at the current state. But what we saw a lot was, yes, you've mentioned Camille, GP, and Gwen, and they're still being heavily contested as well in a certain way, but we have seen many more potential carry picks from the top laners. So we've seen quite a bunch of Aurelius. We've seen a dominant Olaf that decimated the enemy team paired up with the Seraphine in the mid lane. He was basically pretending he's like either winning the game or going to Valhalla, and he was doing both of the things simultaneously. Then we had Fiora, and I believe thanks to Broken Blade in a certain way, now we have a shit ton of Vladimir being played too, which I find to be extremely interesting, because I feel like right now we're going into the state where we can have more than one potential carry pick, and top lane starts to be a little bit more viable in a way that we see more and more people opting for those very big champions that can potentially make very big plays. But it's the way of how game is played in our region. I'm not sure about how it guys happened with the Portuguese region or with the French one.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think like right now is like, of course, we can like talk a lot. I mean, there's like definitely much more new champions just coming into the meta with like the recent riot changes, and there is just like it just was like bigger patch like one after one. So there's like a lot of new stuff coming. I think just people like trying, but right now I feel like right now there is like too many stuff. I think like meta is not really like done yet. So this is why we see like picks like Olaf and stuff. Like he got recently reworked, so people like testing, still not sure how it's gonna be, right? So yeah, I mean right now I think there is like a high chance for like in different regions gonna be like completely opposite meta. For example, even like LPL started yesterday, and there was like completely like not really like logical drafts, I would say, compared to what we used to do and how we drafted. I'm not talking only like about top lane, but right now, yeah, I mean, right now, I think people just pick champion what they liked, or yeah, like, and they are just maybe like were good on it before. They just like try to like make use of it, especially for example like Olaf is pretty good into tanks right now on top lane. They just let him like scale for free, and then he just like run them down without any problems. But yeah, I mean right now I feel like there is just like a more champions just because meta is not done yet. Like yeah, biggest leagues didn't really start. And right now you literally have like 20 champions. Yeah, if you are good at rally, just go play rally and nobody's gonna stop you. So yeah.
Absolutely, comfort is key, and we've been seeing this as well. One thing that I think it's important to mention for the Portuguese region is that right now most of our teams are playing with subs, and so not all of them, but key players. So I think only this next week, the second week, we're gonna see more what the teams can do. But again, comfort, when there are this many changes, teams go often to comfort because it's easier to play something that they know while they adapt to the changes.
It's just interesting to see that we have a very wide pool and a big variety of different things, especially there in the top lane, that work. And we are just so not used to see those things work anymore, right? Because just a little bit prior, we were used to see more tanks on the top lane, more champions that can just have a very safe laning phase and just don't really don't really care about what is happening on the whole premise of it, and then kind of go into his team fight either with the ultimate that's going to change something a lot, right? For example, the Call of the Forge God from Ornn, and then also be able to tank. And now we're finally seeing some of the players stepping up and going, you know what? I'm actually very good in carry pick, and I want to play it because I can right now, and nobody's going to stop me. And indeed, nobody's actually stopping them from doing that. And they're running people down with those pigs. And I strongly hope, to be honest, that this stays. I'm not sure how people are going to draft in the LPL, and I'm definitely not sure how people are going to be drafting in the LAC. But looking at what top laners, for example, we do have in LAC, I do strongly believe that they might be pushing a little bit for those carry picks, because we've got people again like Broken Blade, who was already mentioned, and then there's also Wonder, there's also Odo, so I wouldn't be surprised to see, for example, Ramble top, right? So a part of me actually hopes that those carry picks are going to stay, because that means it's going to be so much more fun.
Yeah, and I...
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, okay. So, I mean, Rumble we saw even like last split, right? So it's probably gonna stay, but yeah, but right now I think we are not really like used to like these biggest patches in the like middle of the season. Usually just like between the season, they're like around implementing that much, and then we can like see like season after season there is like always at the start of the splits. As like spring splits, there is like a lot of picks what people are trying. There is like literally like people just playing everything. But right now we just stay at like there is like short time, and people like a lot of changes kind of the full game. So yeah, right now there's just like a lot of time, but it's like at the end we will end up anyway, like probably in like 5 champions, like something like this, and like one counter other one in this whole. Yeah, I mean for sure, like teams like G2 probably they're gonna like try to keep playing like Ion, Riven, just like this kind of really like niche picks, but really good in certain situations, but you can't really like use them on like daily basis. But yeah, I mean overall, of course, it's of course much more fun if you're gonna have like carry tops than like just pick Ornn and just forget about the slate.
Exactly. You can actually draft flex picks. You can actually play around other sides of the map. That I think it's fun. It's way more fun to see. We've also seen in Portuguese region Lilia as a possible flex pick for top and jungle, but she hasn't been successful so far. So again, it really depends on how people adapt to meta and how the major regions what they show and what can be gathered from those regions.
Regarding Lilia, we actually had one Lilia top lane too. But when I don't remember exactly the team that drafted it, but they were drafting against Combo and Friends, and Combo and Friends opted to go into all of top. And we saw Lilia, and my first guess was, okay, so she's going to go jungle, and she's going to have fun there. And then she was opted to the top lane, and Hecarim went to the jungle. So I was looking at it and thinking, okay, correct me if I'm wrong here, but doesn't like Olaf directly counters Lilia's ultimate? No? Am I the only one seeing this? Okay. So, yeah, not a lot of success found by Lilia on the top lane just yet. Hopefully he's going to change. But regarding actually the flex picks, I remember that I saw that you wrote down Lucian as one of the top lane picks, and this is something I really want to emphasize a little bit too, because right now I feel like Lucian. I know we are stepping a little bit into different ground here of the mid lane and bot lane, but I really want to talk about the carry flex picks and the duality of those picks, because I feel like Lucian was one of the priority picks for a lot of teams. Maybe it's not the case in the LFL, because in the LFL, there's a lot of extremely strong AD carries, for example, right? Because we've got Cody's and we've got Reckless, et cetera, et cetera. But I feel like Lucian is one of those like carry picks that is being heavily contested by a lot of the teams. And I feel like in the current meta, there is a possibility of going into duality of carry picks so that teams, because this is something that Rogue, the academy team of Rogue that plays in Ultraliga, have been doing quite a lot in the previous split, in the spring split, so that they would pick like 2 or 3 champions that can be the carry of the teams in the late game. But they were the only team kind of trying to execute that strategy. And I think that right now we're going into the potential of teams trying to opt for like 2 big picks, 2 carry picks, maybe one on the top lane, one on the bot lane in case, for example, of Lucian, but he can also be opted to go into mid. But anyway, and give a little bit of more wiggle room and a little bit more breathing room to the teams so they can go, okay, if that plan fails, if you're not going to get fed on the top lane, you're going to get fed on the bot lane. And we can go into the state where we won't be able to say, yeah, these guys are just going like for weak side bot lane, strong side top lane, or the other way around, because we're going to have those 2 big picks regardless in one match, basically.
I mean, it's like if you look from one side, yeah, you have like the double strong side. It's good, but the problem is like you need to cover both sides at the same time. This is like the biggest weakness of basically, even for example, we talk about Lucian on top lane, right? And he fall behind. It's gonna be really hard to play like 4v5 the game. This is the main problem. This is why like most of the team just like not trying to make the games harder for themselves, so they just like play a simple way when you have like a strong side. Of course, like super good teams can play with like multiple threats, but it's like a little bit another level than in ARL. For example, even like LFL, I don't think it's like ready to do this kind of things.
But we have seen Cabochard playing Lucian top, and I think it worked out for him. If I
but because Cabochard is the strong side, their bot and the weak side always. The problem is that their weak side is winning always. This is the problem. But but it's just like overall, yeah. Like if we're talking like specifically about Lucian on top lane, I mean he's just like better on other lanes at this point. I think it was a good pick in the past into GP. Not sure how it's working right now, for example. But at this point, it is like an LFL. I think it's like 100% ban rate Lucian. Just like a locked red side ban, and people doesn't seem want to like trade it for anything or just trying to play into that at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he is still a super strong flex pick because he can be really oppressive in lane while being relevant in later stages, but only if well piloted. So it really depends on the team. And on the that's I think Zanzarah said it all. So
right, I think we talked pretty much a lot about the top lane. So let's move to the jungle. And I know that you and Zanzarah have been struggling quite a little bit because Trundle is not.
I did not.
But Trundle was banned a lot, no? Struggle not in the most specific way, but struggle like they're not letting you to play the most important champion in the game.
You know, it's like they just took one hand, you know, but they have the other one, you know. So.
And also, actually, congratulations, because I think that the last time we were sitting here in this our imaginary round table, there wasn't an official announcement yet. So welcome to LFL, actually.
Thank you.
Good time, have fun. I hope you're gonna demolish everyone. But jungle, I feel like it's a very interesting type. A very interesting type of changes have been introduced to jungle just in general, because we are indeed seeing a lot of Wukong, as we have been talking about it in the MSI stage. and he's still extremely viable. But we do have some like of the older picks, like Viego, like Volibear. But then there's also Graves found his way back, which is something I am absolutely happy about. Lilia found her way back. Kindred found her way back as sort of an opposing to Lilia. And we had a game when we had Lilia and Kindred in one match, and Kindred was one of the biggest things. And I also think there's another reason to that, but we're going to get to this a little bit later. Then we had Hecarim, then we have Udyr, and I strongly hope, I'm going to cross my fingers, I'm going to cross my fingers, and I'm going to cross my toes too, just for the sake of it, that my boy Skarner found his way back into the meta, which probably is not going to happen. But, like, come on, please.
I mean, people can play Kindred and Graves in competitive, you can definitely play Skarner, right?
I mean, he's a simple champion in his core, but he's fun and useful.
Yeah. I mean, for example, especially like NLFL, I feel like the phase of the game is much slower compared to LEC, for example. There's like 90% of the games you can get like towards your level 6 and nothing on gonna happen on the map. So yeah, you can just like I mean, this is why I think like overall in Reals we see like more champions like Kindred, right? Who like champions who are like weak in early game. They don't have like many tools, or they're struggling with like a jungle clear. But just because it seems like not too passive, I would say, but I think they just more focused into like objective control than like punishing jungle. This is why you can just get away with this kind of picks, right? And just reach your power spec and play. If you're good at it, you can just play around it and just get the wins.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen a Trundle on the jungle just because it was being played by a support, again because of the subs during the first week. But the priority that we've seen is still champions like Viego and Wukong still following MSI meta. But I think this is due to their being really good in long team fights, and they weren't nerfed with the changes. We've seen Volibear as well, who's been rising like no other in terms of priority. Also due to Grievous Wounds nerfs, I think. But again, being good in long team fights. We've also seen more and more Viegos building Kraken Slayer to take advantage of the true damage to deal with the durability. But that's it for jungle. Again, comfort is still being key to all our teams yet.
But I love the fact that you mentioned Viego with the Kraken Slayer, because we have seen that as well. And this is something that I'm super excited to see in a certain way, because I feel like this is exactly the reason why Kindred can find her way back into the meta, especially in the Reals. Maybe not in the LEC, because I really do agree with Zanzarah's point about the playstyles in the Real, especially that applies to Ultraliga, like in a very hard way. People are very focused in trying to get the safe lane phase and control the objectives and just, don't do mistakes and play for tempo or whatever. But they're not really that keen in going around and going, you know what, I think that the jungler is here. So, let's, you come with me too. You, sir, in the blue shirt, please come with me too. And let's go and beat the crap out of this guy. They're not really doing, they're not really doing this. And because of that, and especially because of the true damage right now being pretty much almost the only item that a lot of damage dealing champions are opting into. Viego, Kindred, Lucian, I think Kog'Maw even goes for that too, and I think Saya too. So there's a lot of champions that just opt to go into this, and this is exactly the reason why we can see champions like Kindred finally making her way back into it, because she has the percent damage herself. And then there's also Kraken Slayer, and there is this certain possibility of something of you can call like good old times, because we've seen Kindred to almost one-shot people on the plays, and some AD carriers like Misfortune having much more damage than her. So I feel like this is exactly the reason why can she find her way back into the at least IRL meta.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like overall, like this, like all the builds with like the Kraken Rush and stuff, because in the past it was not really like comfortable to go for this build, because yeah, your item costs like near 3k and you don't get like any survivability stats like HP, armor and stuff. So like before, you were just not able to like team fight. Yeah, of course you have a damage, you know, but like in a good competitive level, it's just gonna be like second back fight probably when like it's almost like 5v5s, and you have like only Kraken. You can't really do anything, especially for example on Viego. If you just like step up, you just die one shot probably without HP. But with the durability patch, I think you're just like, I mean, more like all the people is more tanky, so you can just survive the burst even without buying like a tank items kinda early on, so you can just go for it. But for me, for example, at least like the divine is the way to go. I think it's just like the procs is just too good, especially the percent damage procs was got buffed also, let's be honest, with the durability patch. So it's just working much better, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, Kraken have like his place for sure if you're like ahead, or just like your old team comp is more about letting you deal damage and that they can like support RCC for you, then it's for sure makes sense.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
mean, I don't have that much more to add to this discussion in terms of
Yeah, well,
builds.
true to be said, there's more games to play and there's more things to look at. But yeah, I think that we see a little bit of an interesting tendency going in there. So now stepping up to the mid lane, and I feel like this is the lane that got the least of changes in a certain way, because we still see heavy scaling picks as games. I can say that in Ultraliga, for example, games got like, let's say, explicitly longer. Not really, but people still opt for heavy scalers. Veigar, Victor, Quirky, that type of stuff. Then there's also Ahri. Akali is kind of like feeling a little bit more stable again, right? Because we've seen her kind of lose the popularity a little bit, and now she's stepping back slightly. I think we have even seen Akali top lane once or twice, but mainly in the mid. Flatty actually have been playing Akali mid as well, as he's now in Goskua, representing Goskua. And there's also 80 lanes like Tristana and like Lucian. Exactly the pick that we have been talking about quite a little bit. But I feel like it's in a certain way and a bit of a more standard mid lane state in a certain way. We still have the scaling. We have big potential play like Ahri and Akali, and maybe LeBlanc is going to find her way into it too. And then you can opt into Tristana Lucian if you're doing something like shenanigans and Strange and Chimichangas and bot lane and support. So I feel like there's not really a lot of change there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I mean, I'll bit because I'm not sure how it was like in Ultraliga, for example, you know, but especially like I have like a lot of data on like our scrims and the LSC teams. There is like not much Akali, because I feel like there is I have a feeling I saw like her like several times in games. She's like struggling with this nerf. You know, there's like a lot of times when you're just like not able to calculate damage properly. And this is really annoying, right? Also because Akali usually went for Empen build in just one shot. Of course, there's some exceptions with the Conquer, the house called, I forgot how item called, but like long fights build, right? But right now we just much
Riftmaker?
harder to watch. Yeah, Riftmaker, yeah, exactly this one. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see much Akari, for example. I see because yeah, like mostly, I think, like usually if we talk like about mid lane, yeah, this is like Azure, Victor, Ari. It's like the golden trio. Sometimes Veigar show up, sometimes other pick, just depends on the people preference. But yeah, I think that like and overall like we are talking right the durability patch, and we see a lot of scaling peaks, but we don't see the length of the game is increasing, right? But I think that the main point is right now just like in League of Legends you have a really good like end game tools at this point. So basically, if you have the scale pick, you just play for Soul, and even like yeah, okay, you have like Azir, Victor, and then we have like 3 Drakes. Yeah, you kind of have to fight for. You cannot just like okay, guys, let them Soul. We're gonna chill a bit, right? We can wave clear. Yeah, you cannot wave clear. This is the problem. They're just gonna dive you even though if you have like 100 HP more, doesn't really matter. So yeah, I think we just I think there are just more teams playing more for objectives. I think at least like in LFL we see much more teams just trying to stack Drakes as fast as possible. We see like some even skirmishes for like a min 5 Drake, and they just get like 25 minutes soul and try to end the game on it. This stuff. So I think this is like the main point why like games is not that like extended, or like we don't see it now, right? But maybe later on something gonna change. Still don't know, because I feel like Riot they didn't know in themselves if they're gonna change like more something towards this. But I think right now is like overall the game state is pretty cool. I would say, you know, like a lot of stuff changes, but the games is still like fine. You know, it's like 20 to like 30 minutes something like this. So I think it's like pretty good overall, and I mean it's kind of painful to watch like 50 minutes games. Not gonna lie, especially when it's like every second game like this.
Yeah, that is true. That is definitely true.
One of the most interesting things is that all players right now, at least the ones that I've been able to talk with, are really happy with the patch, are really happy with the state of the game in terms of the durability. Not necessarily longer games, but longer team fights. So, because yes, you can still have 1 or 2 one-shots, but you know, you can actually play the game now, and you can play the team fights without so many things happening at the same time, and it's done. In terms of mid lane, we've seen Orianna, Victor, and Yasuo, but again, this is mostly for comfort and not adaptation to the meta. One thing that I find really interesting is that we've seen Veigar getting too much priority in mid lane, when not against short-range picks like Ahri or Kog. And this is really interesting. And we are still with a heavy reliability in Ahri. As for the rest, it depends on the matchup and the player's preference. We also have some Irelia enjoyers in mid lane, but I do think it happened to be considered as a pocket picks.
Yeah, I mean overall, like I want to add, because the main point why we see a lot of AD mid laners is the thing. Like there is like a lot of AP junglers at this point. So we saw like we have Talia, right? We have Lilia, Diana is still there. Like some people even play Karthus. So like right now the like jungle situation is more towards like AP junglers. So like the teams trying to like feed them into compositions. So you need, I mean, preferably you need AD jungle or AD mid with that. So this is why I think like also where we see more Yasuo and Redis and stuff.
Yeah, I actually can double down on this in terms of we have seen a tendency of trying to go for a little bit more of AP junglers. So if you're not going for those like priority picks, or let's say comfort picks in a certain way, like when there's Viego, Wukong, yada yada, that type of stuff. But yeah, when there's an AP jungler like Lilia, mostly we have Lilia or Talia. Then yeah, we've seen Tristan and Lucian being picked up in exactly in those situations. But it's just interesting to see that mid lane kind of is a little bit more stable than the other lanes, because moving on to bot lane and support kind of like got completely in a different direction, I feel, because before that, mainly what we saw was Nautilus, Leon, and Rakan. Now Rakan is slightly more rare, since he's mostly getting paired up with a little bit more mobile champions, and only in case if there's a very, very good engage on the team already, and then you can follow it up with it, right? But then we saw stuff much more Enchantress supports being introduced. And I mean, Promiscu was playing Ashe support, And I don't know if you have been watching that game. Probably you didn't, but in case some of our viewers did, like that game was just odd because the man, I'm pretty sure, and Zanzarah, you're his former teammate, so please confirm that to me. Is he using wall hacks? Is he using wall hacks?
You know, wall hacks, you know, like when you're playing Ash, right? You have like a wall hack in your abilities, so.
Yeah, but like he wasn't even using his hawk shot. He was just standing there throwing a random arrow and then it just always hits the player regarding if there's vision of that player or not. I'm pretty sure that he's using something like some, I mean, it's got to be some kind of like, I don't know, goggles that he's using and wearing in real life that allow him to see through walls or anything, because the guy is just a bloody sniper. I'm telling you, he's a sniper.
You know, it's like when you play Ash, it's like even before the game, you know if it's gonna be a good game or not. You know, you don't even need to log in into the game. Then it's probably every arrow gonna hit or every arrow gonna miss. You know, there is no middle ground.
Only Siths deal as an absolute. I know that Kenobi right now is running all wild, so a little bit of pop culture Easter references to you. But yeah, regardless, coming back to the support state right now, Ashe is more like of a pocket picker thing, because we've seen her only once, and we've seen her only with Promise Queue. But in general, I can see a lot of Enchantresses. I can see still a few little bits of Nalas, and I feel like Braum got a healthy buff with the durability, because in solo queue right now he's just monstrous, and in pro play I feel like he starts to fit in a little bit of a more variety situations, so he got a little bit more popular too.
Okay, in our team, if our support wants to pick Braum, we know he don't want to win the game. This is how we say. You know, like okay, support is easy. How support works, guys? Support is just playing the whole season, Nautilus, Leona, and then they're too bored, so coach get leave them, you know, 1-2 matches to play something funny champions. But we all know, guys, once it comes to serious games, it's gonna be Leona Nautilus again. So yeah, this is how support works. There is like not much to change. Like about Ashe, Ashe is good into like Ezreal Karma. Usually, this is why like people playing. I think because just Ezreal Karma just got tier bot lane right now, just trying to get it as fast as possible. Of course, not for like some teams. Some teams prefer to play like carries, you know, but. Overall, like Ezreal Karma seems just like one of the most broken bot lanes overall. So yeah, people just trying to find a way to like counter it, right? But yeah, Braum, the champion, is not gonna win you the games. This is what I can say.
I mean, in Portuguese region, again, we didn't see Braum yet. We've seen some Nautilus and Pike to bring some initiation or big potential to compositions. But mostly the enchanters like Lulu, like Karma and Nami. They are still great with these hyper carries that are coming back into meta, despite the shielding nerfs, and they can still keep their carries safe for most part. So apart from this Enchantress, we've also seen Tam Kench for Fasting Senna, but that's a specific pick.
Yeah, that's more of a specific combo than trying to find a way into it. But it's still kind of interesting that right now we do have a lot of like these good old combos coming back. We've see Lucian Nami getting her way back in, and I'm super happy to see that, because my memory with a Lucian Nami combo is forever going to be with Hans Sama and with Rogue's Miracle tiebreaker run in what was that, Group D, I think, in Worlds 2021. So like seeing that is always very, very fun. And Kog'Maw Lulu actually starts to be viable again, which is also quite fun. We have seen I don't remember what was, I think it was Zero Tenacity that kind of just went, you know what, you want to dive 3-man Lulu Cog bod under the turret? Yeah, go ahead and try to do that, and then they have scored triple kill, and you're like, okay, these guys means business.
Yeah, oh, actually, we didn't mention the most important changes in this patch. The most important changes in this patch is tower damage, guys.
Oh yes.
Amount of failed dives increased like by 200% at least in every match what I played. So yeah, I mean this is why we see like also like the peaks what like Kog'Maw Lulu, right? Not the strongest like early game champions like Kale, right? Because even if you have slow push, it's kind of hard to dive right now because yeah, I think like level 3 or 4 like everyone is dying by like 4 hits of tower, like 3 hits sometimes if you're not a like bruiser champion. So yeah, it's pretty hard to like do anything.
I mean, towers, they just slap right now. This is something that I feel feels like, if I recall correctly, is going to be changed with 12.11 a little bit, right? But
Yep.
right now, they just basically remind you why do you hate the game and hate yourself, and just step back and relax, enjoy. You're not going to be able to do anything. But yeah, this is definitely something that happens a lot in the games too. We have seen a lot of those failed dives too. I don't know, probably in Portuguese league as well.
Not really as much yet because Lulu has been permabanned, so we didn't see her yet. Not perma, but there's been a high priority in those. So yeah, again, Senna is returning really strong, so the Tahm really happens to have high priority as well. But yeah, for now we haven't seen that much, unfortunately.
And
Depends on the perspective.
yeah, of course. But now closing things up a little bit with the lanes and just in general. With that for first part of our topic, just let's quickly run over the bot lane, because in there I feel like it sort of changed, sort of didn't. We found Kog'Maw back into the game. We sometimes see Jinx. When Jinx getting picked, we occasionally see Aphelios to be picked into it, but mostly just Xayah, Kai'Sa, and Ezreal being the most I believe priority bot laners outside of things like Lucian. But I don't feel like there's a lot of changes there in that certain perspective of it.
I actually disagree with you because Senna is back on top of popularity, especially fasting, because her scaling is insane and she can be really safe in lane. And she can fit most compositions. And other hyper carries are also back, like Jinx, Kog, and Twitch. But I think this is due to the durability, because the durability allow them to have time to actually deal damage in team fights. As I said before, the patch didn't necessarily bring longer games, but longer team fights. And if the hyper carries can have more time to deal damage to different targets, they're rising in priority for this case. Of course, Lucian, we've already talked about, but so yeah, I haven't seen that much Kai'Sa or Xayah. Yes, some Ezreals, but yeah, mostly hyper carries.
Yeah, I agree. No, nothing to say.
Okay. I guess in this case we have a little bit of different play styles when it comes to our 3 leagues when it comes to bot lane, because in the bot lane we haven't seen Senna to be played as an AD carry just yet. I feel like she popped up like once or twice, but not too much. So it's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting to see how things are working. And I don't think we saw Twitch yet, or we saw him like also once maybe. Which, I mean, Twitch is always fun, so I have no hard feelings towards that whatsoever.
I mean, yeah, I want to say just like the problem with Senna, because usually the problem is like when you play Senna, you're like switching the roles, right? So like Senna is playing like a support and you're a carry playing support. So like most of the team just don't want to like commit into that, because yeah, on this like level of play, it's really hard to like switch opportunities. You got to like be making mess and communication and stuff. And yeah, but for example, like picks like Twitch and stuff is like still right. It's just player preference. You just before just was not able to do that. I think because lagging phase was like matter much more. But right now you have like much more freedom to just get your items and play team fights freely. So yeah, this is why we see. But it just like also depends, right? Of course, we see a lot of like hyper carries. They just like easy to play. You don't need to do stuff. But why I said like before, Ezreal Karma like is the most broken because I think the Ezreal Karma just like winning every lane. Besides like Lucian Nami, but Lucian Nami just permaban. So this and like Ezreal not really like falling that much. As I said, right now like game decided probably like on minute 25 when it's like soul spawning. So there is like there is not that like big how it's called like yeah, I mean the length of the game didn't increase that much, so you don't really reach like 5 items or like 6 items indicated. This is like 4 items, and Ezreal is pretty strong on that items. So yeah, I mean this is why like for example in LFL Ezreal Karma has like really high prior because I have like really good indicators both lanes, and they just want to like push their lead through laning phase more.
And now, as we start to talk about this, I really want to go into the second phase, which is the patch 12.10. I do remember that a lot of people, and I remember I've been talking about it with my colleague from Ultraliga. She was talking with her colleagues from NLC, that in NLC people didn't really know what to say about the durability patch because they didn't know how it's going to affect the game. And here we, with Zanzarah, with you, we also tried to kind of like have a look into it, but we were struggling to pinpoint like what is going to be exactly the thing. And I feel like there's a need for a certain clarification because even despite the fact that I have seen like 10 games being played on this patch, I'm still was in a certain way struggling to find what exact changes, not exact, I don't want to say what exact changes are happening, but I wanted to clear the vision for myself, and I believe it's going to be also very useful for our listeners too, because okay, so the team fights got a little bit extended, and I feel like, yep, okay, I guess I haven't really noticed that because when you a play-by-play shoutcaster, for me, it's just like a very long set of a lot of different, PowerPoint presentations that just happen in front of my eyes. I cast them and then I'm blank because I have no idea what happened. I mean, genuinely, at Wednesday, we had Iron Wolves against Aga Rogue, and I had to become Slim Shady for 2 minutes, and I don't remember the single thing of it. If I wouldn't have the video, I wouldn't even remember that I casted it. But outside of that, I remember that we have been talking about some people that bursts are probably not going to be happening too much. But yet they are. What I see in Ultraliga, for example, is that bursting someone down, one-shotting almost like there's genuinely 1 or 2 seconds and the person is out of it. For example, Trundle level 5, I wouldn't really expect that, yet it happens quite often. Is that something that we can like slip through and go, yeah, it's durability not going to help with that too much? Or what is going on?
I mean, I think just when you're like ahead, you can always like one-shot people. This like 100 HP more or less doesn't really like make the difference, right? It's more right now like this durability patch, we should understand it's more hurting like laning phases and like 1v1s. Because yeah, in 1v1 when you need to cast like additional spell to kill the guy, this is a lot, right? This is why we see like people like Kiana mains was complaining on Reddit, right? Like all the assassins, like yeah, of course I do like full combo and I cannot kill guy. He survived like with 5 HP. This is annoying, but so like this is the problem. Like this is why I think see less like LeBlancs, right? It's happens sometimes, but yeah, I mean when you're like you cannot one shot the guy with full combo when you're like 1-0, this is a bit hard. But overall, if you're fish check 3 people, probably durability patch not gonna save you. You're gonna die in the same way as before. This is not the difference. So I mean, durability patch just it just really give you a lot. Like early on, I think like around like level 5, 6, 7 in 1v1s. But the later game goes, doesn't matter, right? When everyone have like 3k HP, 100 HP doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Again, one thing, DrBrilmann, that I really have to say, it's because one of our casters, one of our PvPs, actually said, "Oh, now I can actually say what's happening in a team fight because I have more time."
That is actually true. Okay,
so-
yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe think about it during the next matches, but yeah, in terms, yes, you have longer fights. Snowballing is still possible. We actually have one team for the win, which was the champion from last split. They actually are going for early game compositions, and they say, okay, the durability patch is not that relevant. It's still possible for us to do this. So they do it, and they won both games. So it really depends. It's hard to tell exactly because you still have the so much comfort. You still have the teams trying to find their own synergies and such. It's hard for us to see or to pinpoint exactly how the patch is affecting the meta, because these teams are still building synergies. These teams are still finding themselves, finding their identity, their playstyles, while trying to read the meta. So teams that actually that stayed the same, like for the win, for instance, they are playing what works for them and what always worked for them. And that's it.
Yeah, I actually feel like this is a very viable point, and the only thing that I believe we could like pinpoint with 100% certainty outside of those extended team fights is I guess the big importance of percent damage, right? Because right now I feel like this is one of the biggest things that people are opting into, because before that we used to see much more gale forces. Now I feel like we're seeing much less of it. We're seeing either immortal shield bows because of the potential like survivability and going a little bit more tankier in those team fights, or we see percent damage and true damage. And I guess this is also the reason why we potentially may see Vayne coming into the meta too, but only in the case of the bot lane. If the ADK player is going to feel himself a bit more comfortable and going with such a mechanically demanding champion. But other than that, I feel like Vayne kind of fits into the current patch really, really nicely.
Yeah, but it just the problem with Vayne right now, just like Kais and Kog'Maw, is just better Vayne. So this is why people just go for this kind of picks instead of Vayne. And, so yeah, I mean, maybe if meta gonna shift like completely in these kind of things, and people start buying ADK, maybe on first rotation we can see more Vayne.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We don't have we don't see that many Vaynes in LPLOL, so
we haven't seen her at all yet. I believe she was played in the spring season once or twice, but I might be lying over here. But it's just a wild thought that occurs to me, because when somebody like says true damage and just with the passive procs and etc., for some reason first champion that comes into my mind is Vayne, even though there's quite a plethora of champions that do the same thing in a certain way, right? So this is just a wild thought of what can we see. But yeah, it's like I guess it's pretty much fair to say that percentage damage and true damage is something that a lot of people are going to opt into now, just because of how important, how big it is in the current state. And now, moving on to the last part of today's podcast, which is going to be the patch 12.11. Let's speculate, because it's always fun to see ourselves either being good at predictions or failing miserably at it. So there's going to be a lot of changes. Again, another time. There's like 2 patches in a row that are going to do some shifting. We're not going to walk over the whole patch node, because the whole patch node is going to be way too big to try to understand. But a lot of tweaks to these certain champions. Some of them got buffed, some of them got nerfed. Senna is going to be nerfed a little bit with her Q, but she's going to receive a buff in terms of the percent when the stacks or the drop to her when she's playing AD carry. I think it's like from 3% to 8%. Then there's some changes introduced to Rise. He's going to have a less of a cooldown on his Q. Spell Flux, which is E, is going to have a little bit more damage and scaling from AP. Then turrets are going to slap you a little less hard. And some changes are going to be introduced to Grievance Wounds, even further. And yeah, that's kind of like the overall outline of it. So let's just start a little bit more vague, because I really want to hear, like, what do we think about what's about to happen? Because I feel like 2 big patches in a row should create a lot of turbulences when it comes to the meta.
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's like a lot of changes, but we don't see like the big ones from it. I think that like the biggest one, for example, from 12.11 is like a Zeri buff. For example, I mean, I saw, for example, LEC is screaming already in like 12.11. So there is like a Zeri first pick, and on 12.10 we don't see Zeri at all, right? So I think this is the new champion who's gonna come to the meta for sure in this patch. And yeah, other than that, I think they're just trying to balance out kind of for like champions who are not who kind of got hurt a lot from the durability patch. We see like Rise buff who was sitting on like 40% win rate for like a long time. Some like jungle changes, but I don't think there is like anything insanely big. Yeah, like just like a minor Gwenor, but she's probably gonna be broken still. So yeah, I think this patch is just I mean, right, just trying to like just make game more stable after like this insane durability patch, and that's all we're gonna see. But of course, like first week's probably people just gonna like jump to every new champion who got like 5 movement speed and just try to play it, you know. But yeah, we should just wait more time. Just we'll see. I hope Riot gonna like chill out with their patch notes a little bit, because it's like when you literally like every patch note it's a book when you need to like spend like 1 hour to read. Yeah, it's a bit hard, you know.
They care about your reading skills, okay? They care about it. They want you to read.
Especially, like also like a Belvet, of course, coming in, but from what I heard people saying is like a 30% win rate champion is new. So not sure about that one, but we're not gonna see her like in the next week for sure, like in competitive, like a week after she's gonna be open. So maybe people gonna find out how it works. I don't have blue essence to buy her, so I cannot test it. This is a bit tough, but I'm happy overall, like with the jungle.
Do you want me to send you a little bit of blue essence or riot points to buy the
It's fine. I'm gonna play some Arams maybe. I'm gonna get some. It's fine.
Really?
And yeah. Probably gonna get it like sooner or later. But yeah, I mean, overall, there is like a lot of changes, but how crucial are they? It's hard to say, because even before this patch, like meta is not stable, right? Like it's just gonna create much more mess, and we're gonna have to wait like just additional week to people like decide what they wanna play, what is stable, what is not, what is always good, and these kind of things.
Completely agree. I mean, what I think is going to happen, since the main players are getting back this week, is them comfort again. So I think it's going to be the same as the first week, and then for the next patch, I think they are just still trying to figure out durability, and then when other regions, major regions, start playing it, they will probably adapt to what they are doing. But then again, we might see some different picks, some particular players like to be ahead and like to try those kind of picks, but I think it's too early in the split for those things to happen. So I think we'll just have to wait.
I feel like the biggest, in a certain way, the biggest thing that we may see, but probably not the biggest, but one of the big things, like let me put it this way, is going to be a little bit of build paths and just itemization in general, because a lot of items are going to get tweaked. Of course, again, Grievous Wounds are going to be nerfed up to 25% and 40% with Grievous Wounds and Empowered Grievous Wounds respectively. And then we're going to also be seeing a lot of items receiving minor or a bit more buffs, like Morelomicon, for example, is going to be a bit more powerful with 10 plus AP and 50 more HP, right? And then some other items, tank items, are going to be changed a little bit too, with Randuin's Almond getting a little bit of buffs. Spirit of Visage going to get a little bit of buffs too. So I feel like in 12.11, what we might see is some items popping up here and there, and maybe just a little bit of a different building path towards different champions, and that may affect what champions are going to be picked, or what champions may find themselves in a bit more of a stable position in the meta.
I mean, as for LPLOL, we do have some itemization problems. I'm not gonna go too much into that, but yeah, because usually players do see major regions probably trying to build this or that in specific context, and they try to bring it just out of context. I'm not sure if I'm making myself understood, and usually it doesn't work. So again, it really depends usually, but yeah, I think generally speaking, I tend to agree that if some items are discovered to be stronger with certain champions, maybe we'll see them more. But then again, it really depends on major regions to show something first.
Yeah, I mean, I think every one of us lost to Boris at least once, so there is no shame, guys. Okay, just don't build Rabadon first, and we're cool. But yeah, you just I mean, of course, like like the builds. I mean, we saw like a lot of like minor item nerfs, right, on this patch. Like Glaive got like a bit expensive, right? Blade is buffed. Fighter items nerfed, like Grievous Foot nerfs, of course. But yeah, I mean, this kind of thing, of course, yeah, I mean, we're gonna see how like people they build like on a bigger league, and how it's gonna like work overall in what scenarios, but doesn't see like I don't see like the dramatic changes in items for now. I think like everything kind of the same. Like the big, I mean, from like if we talk about 12.11, like the jungle item got buffed. I mean, tank item got buffed a lot. You get just 100 HP for fun. So we can really see more, but we didn't see like insane changes, like for example, Best Dance rework, right, in the past, and more rework what just changes completely the optimal build for certain champions. Right now, it just builds are the same, but champions with these builds they're not gonna be like more useful, but not really have like they don't really have like other builds, right, to go for. So probably the champions would rely on certain items, they're just gonna fall off in the meta, and that's all.
I feel like we have been talking a lot of very, very important things that are going to be introduced in the 12.11, but the same as 12.11 and the 12.10. I am getting a little bit confused with myself, but it's perfectly fine. What I really want to do right now is the good old let's find out what are the best champions in solo queue right now, because we gotta tell people, right, what they should be climbing with. So let me just very quickly find the good old list that we do have, and yeah, here we go. So I Any expectations? Any expectations for the best champions to climb? What do you think?
Yeah, top lane KL for sure. Jungle, maybe Kindred, something like this. Mid lane is hard. Mid lane, I don't remember what they said it last time, but probably like Twisted Fate, maybe something like this. And bot lane is Lucianami. It's easy.
Okay, let me see. Well, actually, you know what? They have reworked their list a little bit. They have reworked the list. They don't go specifically by lane, I think. Ah, that's annoying. Okay, let's do it this way then, I guess. But let's see how it's gonna put it. Okay, so best champions in League of Legends patch 12.11 for you to climb on. This is gonna be just basically a list of different champions. It's not gonna be the way that we usually do it, because reasons. The list got changed a little bit, but it's fine. So, sitting on the top, we've got Tahm Kench. Since a minor rework, Tahm Kench remains at the top of the table since solo queue, with highest win rate in the 80 carry role, 56.15%.
Fake data. It's a center lane. Doesn't count.
Next up, we've got Singed. And he is... Wait, let me see.
What lane?
Mid lane. Singed mid lane.
Oof.
With 55.59% win rate. I mean, if you like poisoning people and being toxic, then this is basically the champion for you, right?
it's more about if you like wrestling. You just play Singed and just like throw people.
Isn't that what Sans is supposed to be doing? No, like he's got like a flying suplex. He's just spine breaking you.
I mean, you're supposed to do that, but there is always a guy who is better at it, somewhere in the world, And the Singed is this kind of a guy.
My fantasy is a little bit more vivid, so I'm kind of like imagining that we have Singed and Sed in the mid lane, and now everyone is gathering around mid lane to see the wrestling match of the century, Singed against Sed. It's like WrestleMania 35 or something, and these two guys are just punching each other in the face and throwing and suplexing using chairs and, toxic fogs or whatever. But yeah, okay. So next up we got Aurelion Sol.
Oh.
With 55.1% win rate on the mid lane.
Okay, not sure about this champion. Didn't see him for 2 years.
Yeah,
I don't know what he is doing. It's yeah.
I guess it's like low pick rate,
guys,
but high.
Don't trust this, guys. Don't trust this. This is a fake data.
Trust that. Try that. It's gonna be good. I promise you, it's gonna be good. Now coming in next, the first and only support on the list is Janna. She has 54.76% win rate momentarily.
Okay, so if we trust your list, we should play Tahm Kench, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
okay.
It's not.
I'm not saying anything.
It sounds perfectly logical. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Next up is Zeri with a 54.17% win rate.
I mean, this is actually like understandable, right? After the buff, I saw like a lot, even like on top and mid, just Flash goes there, killing everyone.
I mean, yeah, I'm not really surprised to see her in here.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got my boy Olaf, and he is top lane with 54.10% win rate.
And I mean, Olaf is like, I think, especially on 11th, he got even buffed, I think. Not sure why, but they buffed
a little bit,
him,
yeah.
Yeah, but then they nerfed the buff, but it was a still buff, right? But yeah. I think Olaf is pretty strong, like overall right now. Especially, I think not like on a high, not like on a challenger level. and like people do like a lot of mistakes. It's pretty easy to just like if you get elite, it's really easy to just run everything down.
Yeah, I think he's really strong in laning phase and 1v1. And countering champions like Gwen and GP. So yeah, it's probably a pick to go.
Also, just bear in mind, guys, that Ragnarok got nerfed a little bit in 12.11, so you're not going to get so much armor and magic resist on the second and third level of your ultimate. So just bear that in mind when you're playing it. And now, this list starts to warm my heart. This is exactly the reason why I'm going to say that this is the best list in the world. I don't care. I don't want to hear any more opinions, because the first and jungle on the list is Skarner with 53.72% win rate. At the moment, I am happy. I don't care anymore about anything.
No, it's all me. I think like peak rate is like 0.001, but yeah, it's me, my solo. No problem.
I actually has been climbing with Skarner too a little bit, and I was so happy doing this.
Oh, then it's us together. Okay, make the history, you know.
High five.
Yeah.
self five rather in this in this second. Coming up next, we've got Warwick, and just try to guess what is going to be the lane that he's going to excel at with 53.67%. Yes.
Oh.
Easy.
Okay. Are you standing behind me and looking in my monitor or something?
No, I just know there is a top lane Warwick one trick pony in challenge. So.
Ah, that explains it. Coming up next, we've got Zach, who is now with the 53.63% win rate in the
jungle.
Wait. No, top lane. Oh my god. He's top lane Zach with 53.63% win rate.
But I mean, I saw people like playing it in, especially into GP. It was good before. Maybe it's a good again. I don't know.
Interesting.
It's a bit odd, but why not? On the other hand, I'm always up for the green bulb to get back into the game. He's fun. He's fun to watch. And last but not least, we've got Volibear in the jungle. Not surprisingly, absolutely not, with 53.35 smashing % win rate. I mean, this is pretty much expected, I'd say.
Yeah.
All right, so now, guys, you know which champions to wreak havoc in the solo queue. Remember, Skarner is the way to go, always, every single time. Even if you're playing support, just play Skarner. Don't do anything else. But yeah, that's probably going to wrap it up for us here for today. I was joined, as always, by Zanzarah.
Hi, everyone.
And
bye.
And we had a very, very special guest today here, One Ring Wraith. Thank you very much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
And my name will be, and is, and whatever, how you prefer to call it, DrBrilmann. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in for the another episode of Champions Queue EUEdtion. We're going to see you next time, probably in 2 weeks. But for now, play solo queue, stay safe, be happy, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.